Hello guys, in this video I'm going to guide you through your lab, the x86 assembly language for your fundamentals of microprocessor class. To do assembly language program, we first need to install Visual Studio 2022, then create a template for your future programs, and then of course writing our first program. So let's start. Hello guys, let's go ahead and start by downloading Visual Studio Community 2022. First, let's go ahead and open our favorite browser. I'm using Google Chrome and do a search for Visual Studio. Again, I'm using Google to do my search. And when you type in Visual Studio, press enter and you're going to get some results. In my case here, I have the first one, and be sure it says up here on the top, visualstudio.microsoft.com. You click here, and you're going to see this web page from Microsoft. We'll scroll down here, and as you can see, we have two different Visual Studio, the Windows version and the Mac version. Do not worry about this one. We will not be using this. We don't need this. So for our assignments, we're going to be using Visual Studio Community 2022. For those who are just curious, wondering about the others, the Professional and Enterprise are the same ones, but they have just additional stuff, which that requires you to pay. But Microsoft will give us the free Community 2022 for free, and that's enough for what we need to do. Okay. All right, so in my case, I'm going to be using the Windows version. And again, I'm emphasizing this because we do not know when you're going to be seeing this video. But again, I'm using the 2022. So just be aware of that, okay? All right, so let's click here. All right. And down here at the bottom, it shows us downloading the installer. I'm going to click up here. Show in folder, and right here I'm going to right click it and then run as administrator. Okay, click yes to install. All right, let me go ahead and minimize. Actually, let me close this. I don't need that anymore, and close this. I do not need this anymore, and there it goes. As you guys can see, the installer starting up already. Now, if you wonder why I did the right click run as administrator, is because sometimes if you don't run as administrator, will give you some problems. Okay. All right. Let's see. Before you get started, we need to set up a few things so you can configure your installation. Okay. Let's hit continue. Right. Now this might take a while, so feel free to pause the video, and then when it finish installing, you can continue with the video. Okay. All right. Okay guys, as you guys can see, the configuration window has appeared. Let me go ahead and maximize this. Right here now, we're going to be looking for the section labeled desktop and mobile, which is right here. And we're going to go ahead and click the check boxes next to .NET desktop development, and also desktop development with C++, which is right here. Okay. If you're doing other types of programs, you can go ahead and check box the others, like for gaming with C++ right here, and game with Unity is here. But for our case, we only need these two for our assignments. Also be aware that the more you check, the more memory you're going to be using. Okay, just be aware of that. All right. For those who are curious, my computer has a Intel 7, and I also have a GeForce 1070. Okay, just so I just have some idea on that. All right, let's go and click install. And now we're gonna just wait for the installation. This might take a while, so feel free to pause the video, and then once your installation has completed, continue with the video, okay? After the installation has been completed, this window appears. Now, since I have already had a different version of Visual Studio, I might have skipped a couple of steps automatically, such as the signing in step. If you've been asked to sign in, go ahead and type in your email and password that you prefer. I personally use my personal email for the reason that I already have a Microsoft account, and it makes it easier for me to sync all of them together. Okay? Now, after you do sign in, they might ask you to do a setup for your environment. Be sure to set the development setting to general and then click start. Now, you probably have received this window right here. Now, I recommend for you guys to close this window and restart your computer, just to be sure everything has been properly set up. Okay? All right. So now, after you restart your computer, we're gonna go either to search here and type in Visual Studio 2022. Be sure you type in 2022. Otherwise, if you just type in Visual Studio, the Visual Studio installer might appear instead of the Visual Studio 2022. Okay? You could also have gone to the start button here, all apps, and go all the way down where we have Visual Studio under V. There it goes, Visual Studio 2022. Go ahead and start that. Let's click there. Now Visual Studio should be ready for you to create your first project. Let's start by creating a program template. Since almost all of the programs we will write in this course will start with the same basic framework, it is beneficial to take advantage of the fact that Visual Studio will allow you to create templates. A template is simply a configuration of settings and associated files that can be designated as a starting point for new projects. Let's go and start doing that. First, we're going to go and click Create a New Project. Up here where it says All Languages, scroll down to C++. And here we're going to have the C++ empty project. Click here. And now click Next. For this project, it is okay to leave the name as Project 1 or whatever name Visual Studio suggests. Notice that in the checkbox of Place Solution and Project in the same directory is unchecked. Leave it like that. Okay? Also, notice that whenever you write down a project name, like so, Project 1, it automatically will go ahead and copy the same name on the solution name. Just something the Visual Studio does to keep everything organized and together. All right, let's go ahead and click Create. Once the Visual Studio development environment is displayed, go ahead to Windows up here and click Reset Windows Layout and click Yes. What this is going to do, this is going to go ahead and reset the layout, the default layout, as you guys can see here. The reason I'm doing this is so we all can have the same type of layout to make our video and tutorial more efficient. Alright, let's go ahead and locate the Solution Explorer, which in my case is right here on the right hand side corner. And then we're going to go ahead and do a right click on the project name project 1. So right up here, we should select it. So I'm like that. Do a right click. All right. So when we do a right click, go ahead and click build dependencies. Build dependencies right about here. Then we're going to go ahead and click build customizations right here. And on my case, it's on the left hand side. You might have a bigger window. I'm sorry, a bigger monitor, so it might display on the right hand side. Let's click here. Then on this pop-up window, we're going to go ahead and check the box next to MASM. In my case, it's right about here. Okay, and that's our assembly file. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and click OK. Now this will configure our project as a Microsoft microassembler project. Okay. Now again, under Solution Explorer, we're going to go ahead and right click on the source files, which is this one right here. So you can select it. You can actually like right click it like that. That's fine. Or you can select it first and then right click. However you guys prefer. Alright, so I right click it. And now here, we're going to go ahead and click on add new item. Add here and then new item right here. Okay. Let's click that. In the pop-up window, highlight C++ file. Be sure you have Visual C++ selected here. And then here we're going to select C++ file. We're going to go ahead and change the name from source.cpp, which by the way, CPP stands for C++, to main.asm. The ASM stands for assembly or assembly language. All right. Finally, let's go ahead and click add. And this will add our project, our file to the project. Now a large window appears on the left and it's named main.asm. Here is where we're going to be writing down our code for our programs. This is where we will create our assembly language template. The template will be listing our lab manual, but I would recommend for you to write it down instead of copying and pasting it, so you can have the experience. You can go ahead and pause the video right now and enter the lines for your template. Although the lines of the program will be discussed in more detail as the course progresses, here's a brief explanation of the line. Lines beginning with a semicolon are comments to make your program more understandable. When the program runs, the computer is not going to read comments. Comments are more for the programmer or the user to write down any additional notes or information so any future programmers can understand what's going on. Now here in line number 1, dot model flat, it defines the type of memory model to be used for our programs. On line number 2, where it says .data, it is the beginning of our data segment where programs data will be stored. On line number 3, .code, it is the beginning of the code segment. This is where we will write our programs. Line number 5 right here, all the way to line number 22. It is the main procedure which will be executed when our program runs. Now, in line number, let's see, line number, where's it? Yeah, here, not line number 5. In line number 5, it contains the label main followed by PROC. PROC stands for procedure, so it's the main procedure. And A indicates the beginning of our main procedure. Here in line number 22, where it says main NP, that's the end of our procedure, or the end of the main procedure. And here in line number 9 through 12, it is simply the registers EAX, EBX, ECX, EDX, and those are being set to 0. So here in line number 14, now of course do be aware that your numbers might be a little bit different than mine, depending how many spaces you decide to add. Actually, in line number 15 and number 17 is where we're going to be writing our code. I recommend for you guys to leave this comment here, also leave this one, and of course this one right here, because those comments will help you understand where your program and what your coding is doing for your program. Okay. Now let's go ahead and save this. We're gonna click up here this double disk icon, and it's a good practice to save our project as often as possible in case something happens to the computer or to your power. So let's go ahead and now let's do this. Let's go to main.asm right here in the project on the Solution Explorer. Right click it, and then we're going to go to Properties and confirm that the item tab is set to Microsoft Macro Assembler. If it's not, click it and click this arrow down here and click there. Okay, and since mine is already selected, my apply does not get turned on, but if yours does, be sure you click apply and then click OK. Alright, now we're going to go again to Solution Explorer, and we're going to click right here where it says Project 1, and we're going to go down here to Properties. Okay, we're going to click here linker or double click. Be sure this drag menu comes down or expands. Go to Advanced, and then in Advanced, let's go ahead and let the compiler know that we wish to execute our main procedure when our program runs. When I say main, I mean this main. So let's go ahead and go to the right after entry point right here, and let's go ahead and type in main. Okay, press enter, and now click apply right here and hit OK. Now we're going to go ahead and up here where it says debug, we're going to click this arrow and we're going to go to configuration manager. Alright, let's be sure this one is on 86. Okay, if yours is not on 86, please change it, okay? Because this is going to tell us we're going to be working on the 32 bits, not on the 64 bits. Okay, be sure it's on x86. Be sure you also have configuration as debug, platform as Win32, build is checked, and deploy is unchecked. Okay, let's go and close this. And again, let's go ahead and click here a couple of times just to be sure everything's nice and saved. Okay, Okay, now we can save this project as a template, so we won't be necessary to repeat this process for every program we will write. First, we're gonna go to project and then explore template. So project and where's export template. Export template. Click here. Okay. So then select the project template radio button, which mine is already selected. Feel free to read this so you guys can know what's really going on here. And make sure the correct project name is selected in the drop down, which in this case right here. Okay. Then click next. Next. Let's go ahead and give our project template a name. Let's erase the project 1 and let's give it X86, capital AM, capital A, capital S, capital M, template. Okay. Let's be sure our spelling is good. Okay. And then be sure to uncheck the checkbox for the display and explore window on the output file folder. Right here. Okay. All right. So then let's go ahead and click finish. Okay. Because I already done this before, it's asking me if this should pretty much overwrite the other file. Okay. If this is your first time, you will probably not see this. But because it's my probably second time, third time, because of to practice for this video tutorial, I already had this template on the store. So I'm gonna just go ahead and see one or more output files already exist. Would you like to delete the file to continue? Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. Delete the old one, and I'm gonna stay with the new one. Okay. All right. So now our template has been created. Let's go ahead and close the Visual Studios, either by doing the X up here or by clicking File and Exit. Now we're going to create our first program. It's going to be adding two numbers together and displaying in one of the registers. First, we're going to go ahead and relaunch Visual Studio. I have Windows 11, and in my case, I'm going to go and find Visual Studio right here where I click Start. You might have it in the desktop, which is fine, okay? But in my case, I have it right here. Now, if you don't have it here, you can always go to the search box here and type in Visual Studio 2022. Now, be aware that if you don't type it to 2022, you might get confused with the Visual Studio installer, which you will use in case you need to do any updates or changes in the Visual Studio. All right, we're going to go ahead and just click Visual Studio 2022. On the Getting Started pop-up window, on the left side, we see our recent open projects. In this case, Project 1, which we use to create our template. We are going to go ahead and click here that says Create a new project. Now we're going to go ahead and click up here, and we're going to change from C++ to all languages. By the way, notice that right here on the left side, we also have our recent project templates that we have used. In this case, it's the C++ empty project template. Now that we have it all projects selected and all the projects are shown here, we're going to go and look for our template, which is x86 MASM. Now, you might have it all the way on the top, or you might have it all the way at the bottom. Let's go all the way at the bottom. There it goes. Now, if you don't find it, you can always just type in right here, x86. And as you guys can see, it pops up. Okay, so let's go ahead and click that. Just click next, and then we're going to go ahead and type in a name. Now, since this is our first project, which is adding 2 numbers, let's go ahead and type in the name. Let's see, add 2 numbers. All right. Now, if you want to use another name, that's fine. Location, that's up to you where you want to keep it. In my case, I'm going to change it because I want to keep all these things organized. So for now, I'm going to put it in I'll put it here. Create a new folder. Let's call it assembly. Oops. Assembly language. Okay. Select the folder. There it goes. And hit create. Oh, notice right here also, before I forget, I'm sorry. The place solution project in the same directory is unchecked. Just keep it like that. Hit create. Once the development environment opens, if our file main.asm is not displayed, we can find it in the Solution Explorer panel right here on the right. Be sure this is open. If it's not open, you can click here on this arrow and then click here with this source files. And then here you're going to find the file main.asm. You can go and double click there. This is the starting point for all MASM programs we will be writing for our assignments. By saving this project as a template, all the previous configuration settings have been saved and migrated to this project. Now, the program that we're going to be writing is going to be adding 2 numbers. So first, we're going to go ahead and delete the comment, add your program code here. In my case, I have it under line number 16, but you might have it in a different line number, depending how many spaces you decide to do for your coding. So we're going to go ahead and do move on register AX, the value 5, then add whatever is on register AX, the value 3, and it's going to save on register AX as a default. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and we need to do some adjustments here. First thing, we need to go to view and we're going to look for, where is it, properties window. We need that here. We're going to need this for future assignments, but it's always good to have these windows already set up. Okay. Now the next step is be sure you change this x64. Be sure it's on x86 for the reason that we're working with 32 bits, not 64 bits registers. And also just a recap over here. Remember that these here are where the registers are going to be clear. Make them equal to 0. So on this line right here it says XOR EAX, comma EAX. That's when the register AX is set to 0. Here's when the register AX becomes the value 5. And here's when the register AX is adding 3, which in this case will be the value 8. The next step now is to click to build a program. When you click build up here, click build solution or Control Shift B. Okay. Now you're supposed to be if you don't see a output panel right here, you can click output right here and it pops up, or you can also find it in the in the debug Windows output, and that's where we find the output panel here. Notice where it says 1 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date, and 0 skipped. That's what we're looking for. Let's add a breakpoint, a spot where the program execution will stop. In my case, it will be in line 21, right next where it says RET, or return for short. On the gray bar, we're going to click it with your left button of your mouse, and a red dot is going to appear. If you click it again, it's going to disappear. So let's go ahead and click it, and let's go ahead and run our program by going to debug, and then start debugging, or F5. Our program will now be executed and will stop just before the line where the breakpoint is set. To see the registers, we're going to go to debug again, Windows, and right here at the bottom, registers. Here you'll see our registers. And right now at this moment, what we're looking at, or what we need to look at, is register EAX or AX. EAX stands for the 64 bits, and the AX is for the 32. Okay, so there's also right click. Before I mention that, let's go ahead and look at the EAX. As you can see, it gives us number 8. Just be aware that these are all in hexadecimal. So the 8 in the hexadecimal is also 8, and also 8 in decimal. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So that confirms our answer that is correct. And now let's go and right click right here, and we're going to select flags. You guys will need this for your future labs. Okay. So if for some, let me stop here first, because sometimes you might not see the option of the registers when you went to debug Windows and what was running. If that do happen, go ahead and go to Tools, Import and Export Settings, and you're gonna have to reset it. Okay? But if you have any question, let me cancel this. Any questions or suggestions, please feel free to comment below, okay? Alright, that's all for today. Have a good day, guys. Bye.